Hello kiddos, my name is Mr. Lobob, and today I'm going to be talking over some gameplay of myself playing StarCraft 2, one of my new personal favorite games. And it's been really fun, because they recently made it free to play, so I've been playing quite a bit of it. And I just wanted to kind of go over how the game is played, because it kind of looks complicated if you haven't played StarCraft or a game like it, which is kind of why I'm doing it. And it's pretty fun. So right now I'm watching a double speed gameplay of this game that I just did like an hour ago. And basically what I'm trying to do right now is just set up my base and get prepared, because something that kind of originated from the first version of this game was something called Zerg rushing, where people can come into your base and try to kill you really quickly before you have a chance to get set up. So I'm trying to get prepared for that just in case they try anything funny. And then I'm going to start preparing for attacking, because that's what you have to do. You have to prepare your base and build your forces up and attack. So it's pretty fun. And I used to play a lot of games like this through my childhood. Like, I grew up on games like this, these real-time strategy games. And so kind of how I play them is a bit weird. Especially, like, I'm not very good at this game, personally, but I really enjoy it. And kind of what I'm doing right now is the reason I'm kind of getting certain things built quickly, especially when I can mass produce one thing, is I'm using key bindings of, like, when I want to summon a builder, and I can build things pretty quickly. I use my my middle mouse button, and then I can just press B and then whatever the buildings button is, because all of the buildings and all of the units have a letter assigned to them. And so I can basically just spam out whatever I want to. And then also, if you look, you have the ability to assign a group of things, buildings or units or whatever you want, to a certain number, and that makes everything a lot easier as well. So basically, now I've finally gotten my aircraft things up, because I actually blocked off my base from anyone coming in without destroying those buildings. So I have to use aircraft, unless I use these two. I basically built 2 more home bases down below to get more resources. And that's kind of what all of those units going back and forth are doing right now. So I have those set up, and I'm going to try to get some airships going, because sometimes you can go in to your enemy's base and take out their workers, so they have a really hard time getting money, and that can slow enemy team down very quickly. So we're doing that, and right at this moment, someone is attacking my teammate's base right below my 2 extra buildings, if you look down in the bottom left corner. So I try to send some guys in, but those ships aren't really made for dealing with ground units, so they don't do very well, and I kind of just have to back up. But luckily, the red team comes in and helps them out before totally killing off their outside buildings. But I think they do take out quite a few. And seeing that, I try to set up some defenses as well for my outer buildings. I'm not really sure why it says tanks there. Oh, thanks. And then we had one person on the enemy team that was just disconnecting a lot, which was kind of a pain, because it freezes every time someone disconnects and reconnects. And they have a minute to leave, but usually the timer can reset, which means that they can just keep freezing the game over and over, and it's just really annoying. But as you can see now, I have a couple of ship builders up, and I have a few ships built. And it looks like red, if you look on the little mini-map in the bottom left corner, red is attacking the enemy. Because our 4 buildings our 4 teams are purple, green, blue, and red. And that may seem a little bit annoying to everyone, but basically whatever team you are, you're green. So it can get kind of confusing between your team and the green team, especially if you're playing with 8 players, which is 4v4, but I just kind of have to get used to it. Looks like the enemy is attacking one of my allies' little resource gathering projects. So I go in to help them and kind of take out those. And then I believe I go over to help red with attacking green. Oh, and then I decide not to, just so I can get a couple more units built up and regrouped and everything. I built a couple more builder guys to, like, later on I kind of mass produce huge defenses around my base. And what I'm building right now are shield generators, which basically, if you're playing as the team I'm playing as, which is Protoss, then you can, all of your units have shields on top of your health. So, and that regenerates. So having shield generators kind of adds an extra unit of health onto all of your buildings around it. So that's very helpful to have. Yeah, holy crap. Anyway, so now I have a lot of ships built up, so I'm going into attack and help out all of my enemies. And it's good to communicate with your team if you have like a lot of one specific building or one specific unit that you're trying to attack with. Certain enemies have certain abilities to counter those, so that can be difficult. So it's good to have like someone specializing in each thing. Now I start working on building like long range things, and they have a lot of, what are they called? They're basically giant ships that create a bunch of tiny ships to attack for it. So it's very difficult to deal with if you can't take out the mothership, basically. And so I'm just working on building my little turrets up. And you can only build in, if you see those like giant floating crystal things, you can only build in those areas. So you have to build those up and then places the things in. So you have to kind of defend those little crystals, or otherwise all of your buildings just go offline. Like, they don't die, but they just kind of sit there inactive until you have another crystal. So I build a bunch more crystals because also it's responsible for how many troops you can have up at once. So I want to hit the maximum of 200 units. I'm building a lot of more shield generators just to be careful and make it more of a pain for any enemies who are trying to kill me. I put up about 3 more ship builders or plane builders, and right now I'm not really sure what purple's doing, but they're falling back. And it looks like we have taken out 2 of their players, which is very good, because we're going to have a huge advantage on them later, especially since I'm coming in with long-range guys. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I was sending those first guys that I was trying to name 1 right into their death. If you look on the minimap, they just die like that. And so I realized this, and I kind of try to take out my long-range guys, because those long-range ships are really powerful if you have them in the back line, but they're kind of fragile. So I didn't realize how close the enemy was. So they kind of took out all of those ships. I think they actually did. They took out all of those ships. So I had to just start fresh. But it looks like I already have some. And another thing you can do, the kind of the main building that you have, that you can build builders from, can temporarily speed up processes of other buildings with an ability. So if you look down, I have 3 of those buildings assigned to 9. And what that allows me to do is I can just press 9 and C, which is the speeding up button, very quickly to speed up any process that I have, like building planes and other such things. That's mostly what I use it for. And it's pretty helpful. Sadly, the only thing you can't use to speed up is like building an actual building. So now that I have 10 ships, I push in and I try to communicate with my team that I'm ready to push in so that they can kind of take the hits for me. And then what I do here, I split up my 10 ships into 2 groups. If you look down the bottom left, I have Team 1 and Team 2, which are both comprised of 5. And if you look down there, you'll see that I'm actually cycling between them quite a bit, and I lose 1 ship very early on. So now, if you look down in the hotbar, you'll see that I'm constantly cycling between 1 and 2 so I can kind of spread out, because it has a lot of firepower, but it's in bursts, so it's good to not waste it. And so I can split up my groups into 2 and then just demolish them. And that's what we're doing here right now. All 4 of our teams are just going in and demolishing. And that's basically the end of the game. Like, they can't win at this point, but usually you just have to kill them anyway, because, you know, stubbornness. And when I'm in this situation where I'm losing, I always just go into mass production mode of spamming my take an empty builder, a builder that's not doing anything, B and C, which is the ability to build a turret. And I'll just spam those all over my base, just to make it the maximum amount of pain. But anyway, that's the whole video. And we won. So, I hope you enjoyed watching. Bye.